Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Today I'm going to take a piece of barnwood and turn it into a cute hanging sign. I have some of these hanging lids from the Dollar Tree and some brackets. What do you call them? Hangers, plant hangers, sorry, not brackets. Plant hangers, and then an old piece of barnwood. The hanging lids from the Dollar Tree do not fit the glass jars that they had sold at one time because I bought them together and the lids are too big for the jars. So the screws that came with the hangers are too long, too big for my sign, so I had to go up and get in my catch-all drawer and get some small ones out, and you see the little silver screws there. So what I'm doing is making sure that the bracket is going to go even on both, each end, both ends are going to be the same, and then the same distance, up and down as well as to and fro. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just marking that to make sure that they're going to go in the same place on each side. And I let someone use my tools, and some of my drill bits are missing. So this would have been so easy to, I'm marking it here where the holes are to, drill in holes to get my screws into, but since the small drill bit is gone, what I did was I took the brackets back off, used my screw gun or drill, whatever you call it, and just screwed the screws directly in, took them back out, and then put them in the bracket, put the bracket down, and then it was easy to screw the screws in with my little tiny hand screwdriver. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just screwing the screws in and then pulling them back out and then putting them back in, because the drill couldn't get into, in between that bracket. It just wasn't big enough. So I looked everywhere for my little drill bits. I couldn't find them. So you know what they say, you let somebody borrow something, you either don't get it back or you don't get it back in the same condition you lent it in. And I evidently did not get my drill bits back. So anyways, that's all I'm doing here. And this was hard because the tips, the bit tip just stripped. I mean, there was nothing left of it. So I bought this cheap bit set, and that's what you get. You get what you pay for. So anyways, all's well that ends well. I ended up doing it by hand with my tiny little screwdriver. But yeah, the tip of that bit was just like it had nothing left on it at all. So here's where I thought I would recycle some Valentine jars, but the lids are too big. So I had to go and find, those were jars that I bought at the Dollar Tree, and the lids were just too big for those. So I based this whole thing on the premise that I was going to use those jars. So I had to go find some real mason jars, which I found in my storage area. Took me a minute to find them. But anyway, here I'm not taking into account that you're going to be able to see that battery pack. So then is when I realized I was going to have to paint the jars if I didn't want to see that. But you don't even have to use jars. You can hang whatever you want from those hangers. Once you get that secured into the wall, now here I'm just taking some black chalkboard paint and painting over the silver screws. But once you get this secured into the wall, it'll be very sturdy to hang. You know, you could hang some small plants or whatever you wanted to hang from there. I chose the jars because I just thought it sounded cool, and I think I seen something similar to that on Pinterest. So here I'm using my stencil vinyl to do the word family, and I didn't think at all that this was not going to bleed like crazy. I thought for sure it was just going to ruin, you know, it was just going to be ruined. So I had to do this in 2 segments because I don't have a long Cricut mat. So I had to stick to 12 inches. So I think this is 11 inches here. It was easy. It wasn't hard to do. The hardest part is what was in my mind, that this was going to leak, because the wood is very uneven. So I don't know who it was, because I watched so many videos. For so many years I've been watching these craft videos. So, but I had seen a DIYer who put Mod Podge down first. Normally, you know, if you think you're going to have it bleed, you're going to paint the same color into the lettering. And this, since it's Barnwood, that I couldn't do that. So I saw someone use Mod Podge. So when I used Mod Podge, I was really thick with the Mod Podge, and I stuck it into all of the areas where the wood was cracked and chipped, and I stuck it in there really, really well, really thick, and then I let that dry, and then I come back with my chalk paint, and it worked. That I didn't think in a million years that this was going to be leak free. I thought for sure it was going to be terrible, but it wasn't. It was really good. So I highly recommend if you can't paint in your stencil the same color as what you're painting onto first, use Mod Podge, because it really does work. This wood had so many different levels. It was split here, and had some screw holes or nail holes in it, and this really worked. It really worked well. So when I get to the Y, and I'm pulling this up before the chalk paint dries, because chalk paint chips after it dries, so you want to get up what you can while it's still wet before it gets chippy, so you don't end up with a big mess. But when I get to the Y on this, you can see down by the other hanger there how bad that wood is. So the Y actually doesn't fit all the way onto it. So I didn't think at the bottom there when you'll see the wood, how chipped up the wood is. I did not think in a million years I would get the shape of that Y, but the very end of it gets cut off, but it's still really nice. Still looks really, really good. But Mod Podge works, because this wood is ate up where that Y goes. Here I just pieced them together. Now see where the Y's at the base, at the bottom of the Y. There's hardly any wood there. It's chipped up so bad. And I still had so much doubt that the Mod Podge was going to work. But here I am, just sticking it as best I can into the grooves of that wood there, and just hoping for the best, expecting the worst. So again, I used a ton of Mod Podge and stuck it down into every groove that I could get it into. That Y was really, really bad. but it worked. I'm happy to say. I'm happy to say that I know how to do it. So this is what I'm going to get into more. I have a lot of Barnwood, and I'm going to start making signs, maybe to sell this summer. You know, craft, or not craft shows, but flea market. I'm going to set up at the flea market. So I'm going to be doing a lot of this, and I probably won't be doing YouTube videos for much longer. There's something wrong with my editor, and I need a new camera, and it just gets too expensive. You know, when you're not making money doing this stuff, it's hard to keep up. So I just don't have what it takes as far as equipment goes. But I do appreciate y'all, everybody who's watching. I really do appreciate you very much. But I have to destash. I've got so much stash that I'll be making videos for a long time probably, because I've got to use up what I have here. But I would like to get in more, you know, doing this stuff to sell. But see how that Y turned out? I had every doubt. Look at that. It didn't bleed, but just a tiny bit right up at the tip. Right where the, actually up above where the bad part of the wood is the only place that it bled. And I wiped it off with a wet wipe. It didn't get in the Y, but it did do the rest of it. Look at how nice that turned out. Okay, so my jars here, I painted them white, you know, like I said, because I wanted to be able to hide that battery pack in there. So now I'm just taking sandpaper, roughing it up around the design of the jar so that you'll be able to see through it when the light is on. After I got these done, I didn't like it. I wanted clear jars, and I don't have any lights that won't show, you know, that won't show the battery pack. So I went ahead and did these up in white. And like I said, once that sign gets secured, when I do the final reveal, that sign was not secured. It was barely there, and I was scared. And you see my crooked jar there. The lid wouldn't go on right. Those lid hangers are not the greatest things in the world, but they were only $1. But anyways, I didn't have it secured, so I was kind of scared of it. But here it is. I hope you like it. Now I made this little fresh flowers basket. This is a wood crate that I got from the Target dollar spot. It came with two. One was bigger. This is the smaller of the two. Then I have 2 wood planks from Dollar Tree, along with 4 dowels from Walmart that I'm going to use some antique wax and some white chalk paint. Yes, I don't have to show you every time I use something, but I don't know, I just do. So anyways, we're going to paint everything with the Waverly Antique Wax except for the 2 planks. We're going to paint those white. And I did everything. I did the inside, the outside, in between the slats. You know, I got everything really good with the antique wax. And now my dowel rods, the same thing. I said dowel rods. And then, you know, paint those front and back white. Now I'm going to take these, I'm going to line them up here. Then I just eyeballed where they were at inside the basket, so I knew where to glue, you know, what angle I needed to glue that. And I'm just using hot glue. Then I'm going to do the other side and kind of make it so that at the top, which I'll show you here in a minute, they set beside each other. Here, they're going to set beside each other, not end to end, but side by side. Yeah, I have so much stash. I'm just going to work with what I have. I'm going to try not to buy anything. I do need florals and floral foam to do some of the DIYs, but I'm going to start working on doing things like I'm going to build a mini outhouse. I'm not sure what all I'm going to do. I have lots of barnwood, so I'm going to make some barnwood signs. Do things like that. Make a little bit of money. This is like the money hole here. I can't afford to buy a new camera. I can't afford. I mean, I can, but I don't make anything back out of it, so it just seems like I'm just wasting, and I feel bad about that. I feel bad about wasting money. So anyways, I did a fresh flowers on the Cricut, and that's DTC Lemonade, I think is what that font is called. And I did that to both signs. I put, both signs exactly the same. I don't know what I was doing, hesitating there. But anyways, the goal is to get the two signs to meet up at the top. And I did have a little bit of a gap, and I just took a little skewer and painted it white and stuck it in the top to fill in the little gap that was up there. And I don't show that on video. I'm just sticking them down with hot glue on one side and to the other side. I almost glued the second one on upside down, just so you know. So that's what I do. That's what I do. Anyway, I appreciate you for watching. Thank you so much. This was very easy to do, but still turned out very, very pretty. I love it.